every time this comes up, I want to talk about it because I find this so interesting how so many people don't understand that you can't budget yourself out of poverty. Being poor is more expensive than being wealthy. Not just because of the like by volume money you have to spend, you know, the percentage of your income that you have to spend, but the things you buy are actually more expensive per product. And I was talking to a girlfriend I had some years ago, you know, and she brought up the question. She's like, I just wish more people had financial education and they could, you know, do better to learn how to budget themselves a little better. And maybe that would help. And I had to explain to her, I was like, when I made $15 an hour, my ex-wife, who I was married to at the time, this is going back like 15, 16 years ago, she made like $8 an hour working at the Meijer store in Michigan. And so with that money, we were down to like sub $1 left over, paying all of our bills. We had no debt, but that is how tight we were budgeting. I would go to the store and we would go to buy toilet paper, and a 4-pack of toilet paper was almost $4. So let's just go ahead and pretend $1 per roll. Now, if I had been able to spend $20 on toilet paper, I could have gotten a 48-pack. I could have gotten that toilet paper that I still would have used, but had I been able to buy it in a larger quantity, I would have been able to get it for 40 cents a piece. So much of the things that poor people engage in are because they literally cannot afford the more expensive option. Another fantastic example, and if you've been with me for a long time, you've heard this. When that same time frame, we were having to go to the laundromat to wash our clothes. It would cost about $80 a month to go to the laundromat to wash clothes for 2 adults and a baby. Why didn't you just buy a washer and dryer? When you're budgeting down to the penny, you can't afford to just go spend $200 on a used washer and dryer. Now, when I got a raise, I went from $15 an hour to $25 an hour. My paychecks were substantially bigger. And the first thing I did was go buy a washer and dryer. Now, that washer and dryer paid for itself in 2 months. We're paying $80 a month. It essentially paid for itself in 2 months. Now, every single month moving forward, after those first 2 months, I have access to an additional $80 in my bank account that I didn't have before. You throw the toilet paper on there, over that, like, just those 2 little things, it's $84 a month that I now have access to that I didn't have access to before because I had the financial power to make the smarter financial decision. When you are poor, you do not have access to this power. And that's just 2 little baby examples. When you're poor, you know, and you guys have made it this far, I want to know what other examples, like these are my 2 favorites because they apply to me, but I want to know like other examples that you've seen like this.